Dazz here again. I hope you guys have been enjoying the series on the Black women, the anthology of the Black women. It is a book with women speaking out. It's a series of essays, poems, experiences, you name it. It's just a compilation of Black women and their thoughts. And as I said, this was published in 1970, edited by Tony Cade. And a lot of these things are still relevant till today, So I decided to share them. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the whole book, but if you would like to hear the whole book, by all means, let it be known, and I'll be more than happy to read them out and anticipate your comments below. So today we are going to read Black Romanticism by Joyce Green. I don't know if you've heard of her, but the title for today is Black Romanticism by Joyce Green. So without further ado, we will get right to it. It's about 3 pages long. So if you are in your car, it's perfect, it's great. If you are at home, in bed, cleaning, just crank up the volume and listen in, and at the end of it, write down your thoughts, okay? Looking forward. Okay. Black Romanticism by Joyce Green. The identities of blacks in America have been created and perpetuated in a mythology which expounds white superiority and black exotic subservience to such an extent that it is difficult to determine the degree to which the myth has been internalized. Are the super liberals and ultra militant Siamese twins fused together by the fibers of this black/white myth, declaring independence while owing their existence to this very linkage? Are not these two personalities, by dealing in the realms of grandness, heightened and creating merely a more sophisticated mythology? When one confronts a super sharp, ultra-hip, black, more militant than thou militant, one wonders just whom he is trying to convince. For if he has succeeded in destroying the Negro stereotype, why must he mourn its death 24 hours a day? Why must he be so occupied with sloganeering and Negro baiting? The answer might be that his new role is so shaky that it can only be maintained by constantly attacking the old. However, in doing so, he is keeping the old alive. If one believes that black is beautiful, then it is not necessary to verbally articulate it to every passerby. Too much energy is expended in this flexing of egotism, for there is a point at which exhibitionism stops and education begins. But it is difficult to find that divisive line because one problem of the Black liberation movement has been Romanticism. A large part of the movement has been laboring under the guise of revolution personified, while the white power elite continues to parcel out land in Africa, build nuclear weapons in America, and increase tactical police forces in the ghettos. The reality is that the man, the hunky, the pig cannot be destroyed by quoting Mayo or by a Harlem riot. In fact, these steps are insurance policies for the maintenance of the status quo. The American society has absorbed these threats. Movies on the riots and on the Che are being made to wind up on middle-class America's TV screen, to lull them to sleep on Saturday night. Whites who politically and economically control America are not annihilated by a riot that burns down 3 black homes for every 1 white store. Romantic stances, postures, ideologies stabilize this society. They exalt masochism and self-inflicted genocide, calling it salvation. It tries to silence the realist by labeling him non-committed or negative. It thereby becomes a black handmaiden madam to white oppressiveness. It keeps the various factions of blacks in conflict. However, most important, it aggravates the friction between the black man and the black woman. The black woman is being forced into a position of not daring to voice her criticism in the struggle when she sees certain discrepancies, for she wants so not to emasculate the black man. She wants not to further the black/white myth of her as the overpowerful partner. But what is she to do when she sees her lover, her husband, and her children slaughtered in actions which are futile, poorly planned, romantic? Many sisters are hard on digging brothers who in a year will be blown away on some dubious conspiracy to conspire based on the distant tactics of the Cuban Revolution. Can the black woman afford to be silent at the price of being left husbandless and childless? Brothers will argue that her hesitations, criticisms, over concern for his safety make her an active accomplice of the white man, for it holds the brother back, castrates him. The problem seems to be that the black woman's strength has been blown out of proportion, so that now even the slightest degree of aggressiveness or non-dependency is regarded as threatening. Brothers might argue that it was this overbearing strength which turned them toward white women, which forced them into the arms of the peroxide plantation blondes. I suggest that the real problem seems to be that the black super militant has not really accepted the black woman because he has not yet accepted himself. Within the black woman's criticism of his method of being a man, there is truth and love, for it arises out of a desire to help, not hinder. However, some brothers are so busy being masterful that they have no time for a tender concept like love. They say that what they need is a helpmate in the revolution. They say, look at how the white woman helps her man. Again, the white woman model is held up. But sisters don't have no time to be dumb afros as opposed to dumb blondes. The allure of the white woman was propagated with the help of the Southern lady as being the epitome of freedom for the black man. The white man devising this scheme proved that he was inhuman, that he would use even his own women as bait, as a diversion from black liberation. Eldridge Cleaver in Soul on Ice deals with the symbolism of white womanhood. His protagonist in the allegory of the black eunuchs states, I know that the white man has made the black woman the symbol of slavery and the white woman the symbol of freedom. However, even though he is conscious of the white man's manipulation of his psyche, he finds it difficult to transcend the conditioning. Okay. He later states that if a Negro leader wanted to unite blacks, he had only to offer it to every black man a white woman. Therefore, the white woman becomes the unifying bond, the way out of oppression. She becomes the reincarnation of the Virgin Mary, and the black man becomes the sacrificial lamb. Cleaver points up this analogy when his protagonist states, he who worships the Virgin Mary will lust for the beautiful dumb blonde. And she who yearns to be rocked in the arms of Jesus will burn for the blue eyes of a white arms of the all-American boy. What better way to brainwash the blacks than through religion? It is clear that through religion, the white man hit at the very vitals of the black man. However, the white manipulator is not as infallible as you might think. Because while he endeavors to keep the black man chained to a religion which exalts whiteness, he continues to secularize his society. He creates the contradictions to his own theology, and thereby implants the seeds of his own destruction. American society has created a technology which by its very existence denounces any divine being. And the black man has come to realize that he who never prays has the power. Therefore, increasingly with each generation of blacks, atheism is becoming the creed. However, because the black man is innately spiritual, with religion rooted in his lifestyle, it becomes a constant task to renounce it. Richard Wright in Native Son exposes Bigger Thomas, the prototype of the black man, in conflict with himself. He refuses to embrace the black traditions of family ties and faith in God on one hand, while on the other hand, he employs the old Tommy mask when around whites. Bigger endeavors to be his own man, to stand independently, giving allegiance only to himself. But he is a man in transition, and at this point, he is as vulnerable as his old self. His movements are still controlled externally. He worries about reacting to the white world, so he is still caught in a trick. Bigger is the transformation of Cleaver's worshiper of the Virgin Mary turned into her crucifier. Both characters still want white females' flesh, differing in what they want to make of it. Bigger Thomas is placed in a situation in which he accidentally kills a white girl to keep silent the fact that he was in her room. However, what he really wants to silence is his growing awareness of the desire that he feels for her. Therefore, in killing her, he is also trying to murder himself, a negative move, because such a dual murder only immortalizes the white woman/black man mythology. After the killing, Bigger finds that his victim is constantly on his mind. She has metamorphosed into his mind. The problem is that Bigger's passion to be independent is blind, without direction. He never reached the point of asking himself, independent of what? Independent on whom? Bigger is in the embryonic stage of black awareness. He has not looked within himself for the stable things which will help him to struggle. He was so caught up in the negativism of blacks that he was unable to extract and use positive aspects of black life. Nevertheless, Bigger is a hero, not because he murdered or because we allow ourselves to be anesthetized in sentimentality, but because his errors are a lesson to black men which may allow them to avoid the same fall. Black men must learn that they don't have to commit dual murders in order to be free. Clay and Loa Jones, Dutchman, is an example of a black man who succeeded in destroying his attraction for a white woman without taking off himself. He is the third stage in the evolution from cleavers and rights protagonists. Unlike them, he forges his attack on white society by using his intellect. In fact, Western logic. He cannot be dismissed by the argument of emotionalism. He has analyzed the culture of white men and discovered that they are doomed. He takes into account their inhuman acts and concludes that they are the damned. More importantly, however, he looks upon blacks as the non-contaminated who, if forced to assimilate into Anglo-Saxonism, will assimilate to the point of eradicating their models. He states, with no more blues, except the very old ones, and not a watermelon in sight, the great missionary hearts will have triumphed, and all the ex-coons will be stand-up, Western men with eyes for clear, hard, useful lives, sober, pious, and sane, and they'll murder you. By his ability to see into the souls of whites, he has become aware that they are not desirable at all, that they are carnivores who live off each other and off the black man. Clay's statement have another connotation for blacks. Besides telling them that the time is coming, it delves into the black life, searching at the roots for a new system of values. Clay is telling blacks that they must create a new aesthetic based on their blackness. For if they have a body of values which arises out of black experiences, then they can no longer be intimidated by the white man or lured by the white women. Black men will be able to expose white women that try to seduce them, as Clay did, as being magnolia and mint julep ladies of the old South, stripped of their gentility, standing in their whorishness. Clay turns himself into a mirror into which she can see herself decay. Jones' character is very canny about American culture, making him an excellent critic, making him a force that whites cannot deal with. If he will continue to make use of his own aesthetic, he must continue to judge things based not on their form, but on their content. He must not turn into a weakly trimmed afro who gesticulates at black political meetings, calling all opposition to his statements intellectual diarrhea. Although these types of leaders cannot be entirely blamed because they give the self-appointed revolutionary vanguard what they cannot clamor for, a show, a performance. One can see it happen over and over again at meetings. A non-flamboyant brother, even meek, which is a virtue today, will make a statement and his loving brothers and sisters will put him down. The next second, a revolutionary brother will stand up, say a simple sentence filled with verbs, shoot, burn, boom, and the puppets will yell, "Right on!" never bothering to think about what he is saying. Blacks have more potential now than ever before. If we don't allow ourselves to be snowed, wasting our energy in facades, games, masquerades, black men don't have to be the baddest nigger alive in order to be important. There are many levels of the struggle for black liberation on which he can fight. 1,000 demolitionists are not needed now. Black men must do some soul searching, must be honest with themselves, must expose their shortcomings even when it hurts. They must internally first define their identities. And if black men do this, they will be free of the black/white myths. Sisters will not be confined to playing a role based on some abstract concept of femininity. Brothers will look upon her first as a person, secondly, as a black woman. And hopefully, once the gaming is seen as a gaming, brothers will say, why should we want a Nordic snow queen when we can have mango-colored sun goddesses who reflect our rays when allowed to blossom in our presence freely as they will? The end. And that, my friend, was Black Romanticism by Joyce Green. Let me know if you enjoyed this series, this particular reading. It was very interesting. Looking forward to your comments. And stay tuned for next week. We are going to read another one at random. Which will it be? Which will it be? Which will it be? You'll find out once you check in. Thank you guys. Have an awesome one. Stay blessed.